Josh and Josh podcast with your host Josh
and Josh.
We're talking wrestling, and Josh, we're getting ready for Super Showdown 2018, which anybody in the know knows that it's taking place in Australia.
Yep,
Melbourne, Australia. So the thing is, it actually aired at about 4 a.m. our time, so we have it on in demand, which is going to be very rare for any of our podcast things. We're actually able to do predictions before the show, and then we're going to watch the show, and then we're going to come back and see how our predictions worked out. So,
and we have not cheated at all. This is completely real. Well, Josh probably cheated. Josh probably looked at the stuff beforehand, and he's just playing me up right now. We're doing this whole Prince of Predictions thing, and I think Josh really wants the award, so I think you're a cheater. I cheated.
I actually went to Melbourne, and I just flew back a couple hours ago. I'm very jet lagged, but I saw the entire thing live, so I know exactly what's going to happen. I gotta tell you, I did not expect Coco Beware to make a comeback.
Oh,
what a shot.
Man, that's awesome.
What
that's
a
awesome.
shot.
Yeah, all right. Now, I'm looking forward to this show. This is cool. I'm glad that WWE is really making this global outreach thing happen. I mean, it is World Wrestling Entertainment. They've always done touring shows, but they're really kind of focusing on not just making these house shows, international house shows. They're making these like legitimate international pay-per-views. So really looking forward to this one. I'm glad to see this global outreach. It's not only great for business of pro wrestling, but just great for fans in general.
I agree. It's nice, WWE. Just WWE trying anything different.
Well, they have to, right? Because that's the thing is WWE, they are the trendsetters. And I mentioned this in our last podcast, where at the end of the day, you can talk about how AAA wrestling is the best. You can talk about IWGP, you can talk about how ECW and WCW were the best back in the day. At this moment, the premier product in pro wrestling is WWE. There's not a title that's above the WWE Championship. When you consider all things. Now, again, you can make that argument that, well, you know, the IWGP title is important, the AAA Championship is important, the Ring of Honor Championship is important, the Chikara World Championship is important. At the end of the day, every one of those wrestlers, part of that federation, dreams of winning the WWE Championship at a WrestleMania or just any pay-per-view or just period.
Yeah, undoubtedly. The only exception to that would be the Hood Slam Championship. That is the one that matters most. No, but really. Well, I mean, you don't hear about most indie guys, you know, like they'll work their way up, they'll go to New Japan,
right.
But they're like for 9 out of 10, except for like the Kenny Omegas of the world,
mm-hmm.
They definitely in the back of their mind, even Shinsuke Nakamura is like, I got to go to WWE at some point because that's when I'll know that I reached the pinnacle.
Well, it's the money that's involved for one, it's the forum, and it's just the prestige. Everyone wants to have a WrestleMania moment. And again, everyone wants to be able to hold that title in front of the masses because that's really ultimately what does establish you as an icon. And not to say that the other federations don't, but again, it's WWE. It's the commercial front end product that everyone is familiar with, and for the most part, the masses are more familiar with than other programs. But that being said, I'm really looking forward to this show. This is going to be awesome. The Australian crowds, from what I understand, are just red hot, white hot, like the UK crowds, and certain parts of course, the American crowds as well. When I think of like New York, sometimes Chicago, I kind of overall believe Chicago's has more overrated wrestling fan base when it comes to WWE. The indie shows in Chicago are a different story, but looking forward to a great show tonight.
I think it'll be good. I think they'll learn from some of their missteps and mistakes that some people criticize them for on their Greatest Royal Rumble appearance.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to keep doing this, you got to bring something that really matters. I think a lot of people could argue that the last show, this one I think they're going to mix things up a little bit more. And
to your point, I mean, you could almost make the same argument for the domestic pay-per-views as well too. I mean, SummerSlam didn't really move anything forward.
No.
I suppose you could say, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, but other than that, I don't know, it was kind of a holding pattern. Like, there was 2 of the title matches on the second biggest pay-per-view of the year that ended in disqualifications.
Yeah.
That's just, and my personal feeling is DQ, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, DQs, countouts should not, they don't belong on a pay-per-view. Those are things that belong on a mid, as far as a show in the middle of the month, leading up to the pay-per-view. But anyway, Josh, to your point, with that in mind, should we do our Prince predictions here?
Yes. we are going to see who is the true Prince of Predictions for Super Showdown 2018. Josh and I are going to compare notes, see where we disagree on who's going to win what matches and how things are going to go down, and then we're going to tally it up after the show to see who won and who is the true Prince of Predictions.
All right. Well, we're also joined by, we have a mascot, which is my dog, Drea. This is Drea's first podcast. This is our second, so there's a lot of inexperience on this side of the mic here, but that's all good. We're going to rock this out. All right, so let's start from the top here. Thinking about our 205 match here with the Cruiserweight Championship. You got Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy. I'm going to go with Cedric Alexander.
I have to agree. Disclaimer, I'm not very hep on the 205 Live with the youngins and the young people and the whole thing. But I think that Cedric Alexander being the current champ, I just feel they're going to just maintain it. I mean, this is. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a kickoff show match or something along those lines.
Well, in theory, there's no kickoff show.
There is no.
But I think it's embedded within it, so it is a 4-hour show.
Yeah.
I think that first hour will be those kickoffs. But no, I agree. This kickoff shows, but I agree with you, Josh. I think they're going to focus on Cedric Alexander. They've sort of played hot potato, so to speak, with the torchbearer in 205 for obvious reasons. Of course, Neville really kind of picked it up at first. There was the contract dispute. Neville hasn't really come back to WWE since. Then Enzo Amore held the title, doing some interesting things there. But of course, then that sort of blew up. They really, I think, 205 needs some type of leadership. They need that consistency. Cedric Alexander has held the title since WrestleMania. I think he's been a good champion. I think he's had quality matches. I think he's keeping the locker room in check. And he's providing that persistency, I guess consistency rather, that the 205 division needs. Even though Buddy Murphy is the hometown hero in this situation, I still see the win going to Cedric Alexander.
Just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, if he's a locker room leader, people like him, he has that consistency, just keep it. I don't see them trying to mix anything up too much.
Yep. Becky Lynch, Charlotte. I'm going to go with Becky Lynch on this one. I mean, to me, they've kind of made this heel turn with Becky Lynch. I guess they've kind of booked her more on a personality. She's more of an anti-hero, if anything. I wouldn't say she's necessarily a heel, but it wouldn't make any sense for me to do all this, uproot her character, and then just to give it to Charlotte. Plus, Charlotte at this point could lose 20 straight matches and still be on top. So my assumption is they'll stick with Becky Lynch, the champion here.
Yeah, I'm with you too. It looks like we're agreeing on that. Charlotte doesn't need this win. Becky does, because they've been leading up to this to show that Becky's not. I don't want to say that anybody's going to get the impression that Becky's all talk, but she does need to win matches at some point, important matches. And I think this is going to be her chance to really hammer it home that she is someone to be reckoned with, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, and I think they missed a golden opportunity here. A lot of it's with Vince McMahon. It's sort of the hill he's dying on, where there must be a face, there must be a heel. Yeah. Where actually I think some of the more powerful programs, and I think about my favorite match in wrestling history was Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 11, that Iron Man match. They were shades of faces, so to speak, but you really kind of, going into it, had somewhat of an idea Shawn Michaels might win, but back then, it took a while for someone to become a world champion, so people also thought Bret Hart would win in that situation, but to me, having both of them as faces, it led to a much stronger program, and I really wish they would have done that with the Charlotte and Becky Lynch thing. They don't have to necessarily have a heel and a face. They could have kept this with AJ and Shinsuke as well, too, but again, they decided on having this type of heel versus face type deal, and here we are. But yeah, at the end of the day, kind of splitting hairs here. I think Becky Lynch is going to retain, and they're going to go that direction. All right, New Day versus Bar. This is where we were talking about this before the podcast. This is where we split. We sort of split part ways here. So Josh, you were saying New Day, right?
New Day, absolutely. New Day, keep it. Let them stick with it. I feel like there's been a little bit of back and forth in the past few months. I feel like we just want to let New Day keep it for a little longer. I don't see any reason for the Bar to go over. They could. I don't think anybody would complain, but I just personally feel the New Day they're just going to stick with it. I feel like they just want to keep the status quo, make the Australian crowd happy. I think they'd be happier with New Day. Everybody loves New Day. Just New Day. New Day?
Hey man, I'm a New Day fan as well. In fact, I was a New Day fan before New Day was hot. Like, I remember at the Allstate Arena when New Day won the championship for the first time, everyone was shocked. And I remember I was the only one like, New Day, and people were telling me to sit down and all that. And then it was interesting, almost a year later, I was at Allstate again, and New Day won the tag team championships for the second time at that point, and people were just going nuts and cheering for him. So I've always been a New Day fan, but to me, I'm going to go with the bar on this one. To keep them relevant, to keep them as an actual tag team, you got to give them titles every once in a while. They've been able to hold the fort down, so to speak. But I would say if the bar doesn't win, they should do something with that and really split these two apart, because I think you've got two talented guys that really could be, I think, getting sort of out of that mid-card range, where Sheamus is almost kind of doing a favor, so to speak. Cesaro has kind of been stuck in this mid-level purgatory for some while. He's put on some great matches. He's been in some good main events on Monday nights and Tuesday nights. But he still hasn't been, as far as that next level, that upper echelon where Sheamus has been. Like, people forget, even though Sheamus does dwell a lot in the tag team division, the mid-level, he's a King of the Ring, Royal Rumble winner, Money in the Bank, world titles. He's done it all. Where Cesaro he's won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. He's held the Intercontinental title, U.S. title, of course, Tag Team Championship, but hasn't gotten that upper echelon quite yet.
He's never quite broke through, yeah.
So unless they're looking at maybe splitting them up, I actually see, just to keep them relevant, have the bar win. But we'll see.
I can see that.
That's where we part ways. So
yeah, we're going to see. This is the first difference of opinion on.
That's
on
right.
This.
I think it's all over after this. I think that this is where we part ways from this podcast. I don't. It didn't work out. We saw eye to eye. We didn't see eye to eye. Irreconcilable differences.
No doubt about it.
All right. So Cena, Lashley, Owens, and Elias. Would love to see Owens and Elias win, but truth be told, again, I think just to keep John Cena relevant, he comes and goes at this point. And of course, Bobby Lashley, he needs a victory.
Yeah.
He's someone that he definitely needs a victory. People still, I don't think, know who he is. And
people have short memories in wrestling. Honestly. Well, depending on the age of the fan, but you were talking about Sheamus. People forget that he was a champion.
Yeah.
He's done all this stuff. I feel like the same thing's happened with Lashley, even more so. Because he's come back and he hasn't done a whole heck of a lot.
Right. Well, a lot of that has to do with booking, too. I mean, his first time around, he was a U.S. champion, ECW champion. But even then, when he was the ECW champion, people didn't look at him favorably because they wanted, at that point, CM Punk to be the ECW championship. But, his character development hasn't been much since he's been back. They sort of have brought on this kind of Sergeant Slaughter entrance where he's served his time in the Air Force, which we definitely thank him for his service. But it's just his character, it seems like it's just a bunch of things put together. Like, he comes out wearing this hat, he's doing those little march from the Air Force, he doesn't have eyebrows. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly is it he does. He comes out and smiles. A lot of it, the booking, is just how they sort of, kind of in a way, had him bully Elias when he's trying to play a song and have him throw stuff at him.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not something a face would do. But, again, I think that if they really focus more on Bobby Lashley just being this meat house, this gigantic guy, even a gentle giant, if they want to keep that going, I think it would be stronger. But right now, they don't have much going for him, and he needs a win to keep any type of momentum going.
Oh, definitely. Like I feel like they don't know what the hell they want to do with Lashley. Like, they take a little bit of John Cena, maybe, take a little bit of, I don't know, Randy Orton or somebody, just a pinch here and there. It doesn't add up to anything. That's the problem. Like when Sami Zayn set up this jungle gym type, military training course that he's supposed to go through, and like, I feel like that could have been a great chance to showcase Lashley and give him some kind of character and how he reacted to this situation. Instead, I felt like he came across like a dope. He's just some smiling fool with this goofy, I don't know, something about that baseball cap, just this plain blank baseball cap.
Right.
I don't know, it just all screams of like, we don't know what we want to do with this guy. He's just an action figure coming down to the ring. And I really would like to see Lashley win because it'll give him something. This guy deserves a lot better is my bottom line, I guess. He deserves more. Yeah,
and that's what I'm thinking. Like I said before, if they focus on, well, I wouldn't let him cut a promo. First of all, he can't cut a promo to save his life. So I would make him more of a humble, happy guy. But then when the bell hits, boom, he's just going nuts and throwing guys around. And let him let him be more reserved. Let him be more introspective. And so that when people nest with him, then the crowd feels bad. They could just show him, reading a book backstage, and then someone, Baron Corbin comes by and flips the book out of his hands. People then feel bad for Bobby Lashley, like, hey, he's just a guy trying to, do his thing and mind his own business. But instead, they kind of make him this, like, jerk type thing. He comes out, starts crap, and really faces don't usually do that. they almost book him the same way that they booked Sting with WrestleMania 31, and just the sense that like how Sting sort of came out was kind of stalking Triple H and Stephanie. At one point, I remember Sting like grabbed Stephanie McMahon's arm, and I'm thinking that's not something necessarily a face would do.
Yeah, it was the wrong tone.
Yeah, and that's where I think they with Bobby Lashley. But anyway, yeah, I think that Cena and Lashley are going to go over here. Rousey and Bella Twins versus Riot Squad. I do like what they're doing with Riot Squad. I wish they'd changed the entrance music. It's too peppy and whatnot. It doesn't really scream heel. But I see Rousey and the Twins going over here.
No doubt about it. Well, we had talked about this before we started recording, the possibility that if Rousey and Bella technically lose the match, Rousey, at least herself, will not be the one getting pinned.
Right.
And I think that's key. So in hindsight, I could see it going either way. But I still see Rousey and the Bellas going over just because they want to have that image of them raising Rousey's hand and things. She's too new to suffer a loss like this.
Right, and that actually brings my next prediction here. I actually am going with the Iconics over Osku and Naomi for that reason. I think that they could actually have, because they want to keep Osku somewhat protected. Mm-hmm. She's on a 2-loss record. However, they could have Naomi get pinned, not necessarily impact Asuka's, winning overall streak, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, the Iconics being, as far as the hometown, that's going to help them out as well, too. I think that having them go over Osku and Naomi, I think that's going to be kind of that shocker they need at the same time, too. And I think they can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we don't want heels to win if we like the other guy, they still do need to they need to come across as like an actual threat at some point.
Yeah.
And they haven't really done that too much with the Iconics. It doesn't really come across in their promos, if you ask me. They just they sound like catty high schoolers.
Well, and that's
that's what I'm saying. Let them win to show that they got something in the tank there.
Generate some more heat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as much as I like Osku and Naomi, I just see the Iconics going over.
And we have the Shield versus the Dogs of War. I'm going to go with the Shield on this one.
Same. Shield.
Although, I think that there's some opportunities here to put over Strowman if somehow they can. That's the issue, is you kind of want to put Strowman over, kind of set things up for that crown jewel triple threat match that's going to come up in November. But the problem with that is you would just be basically putting the Dogs of War completely over the Shield, which I do predict the Shield to be dismantled at some point. I keep thinking Dean Ambrose is going to turn on Seth Rollins.
They've been teasing it a little,
Yeah, and this actually wouldn't be a bad spot to do it, because this way, they could have Roman Reigns go off to triple threat, do his own thing, and then start a Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose feud, with this time Rollins being the face and Ambrose being the heel.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see, a reversal of that.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's business-wise, you're going to regurgitate a storyline, but you're flipping around, so it's not really regurgitated, so to speak. So.
It'll be different enough. I mean, now you're talking about they got to push Strowman. I think they also need to really focus on McIntyre. I mean, it's not like he's like in dire straits or anything, but push McIntyre as well.
Well, you're right. I think they have to. McIntyre sort of doing the big guy thing. Now, that's a character development that's really worked. I remember when he first came out, like in his early 20s, as Drew McIntyre. Great wrestler, knew his way around the ring, but there was something a bit missing to him. Now that he's come back, he's traveled the world, held a few world titles at other organizations. Impact, I said TNA earlier, but Impact as it is now. And of course, he did a stint in NXT. He's really rebuilt himself, and he has been repackaged, I think, in a decent way. But what I think we can expect here with McIntyre and Ziggler is they don't actually need the win because they have titles.
Yeah.
So when you have titles, you don't actually need the win because you're staying relevant. But you're right. At some point, to me, and I've said this before, I really think Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre was this rogues gallery of heels just thrown together.
Yeah.
As an opposition for the Shield.
I mean, they're good at it. Yeah, I agree. It's a little, here you go. Here's some, pick him. Yeah.
Well, it's almost like, it's kind of, what's their mission? Is it really to destroy Shield? Is that why they've come together? I don't know that there's been an outright Shield as an outright point to what they're doing, but I don't know.
The motivation, it's a little cloudy.
Right, it's just kind of thrown together.
Maybe we should call it the Fog of War instead of Dogs of War.
That's right. Daniel Bryan, Miz. I think we were on the fence about this. Now, Josh, you said the Miz, right?
I think the Miz is going to go over with some kind of shenanigans. But if that happens, I'm going to be disappointed because he's pulled this shit with Daniel Bryan, I feel like 800,000 times. And I feel like Daniel Bryan, the good-natured, good guy, face, I don't want to say he falls for it every time, but he gets at least halfway hooked into it, like the fake baby bit with the Miz pulled several weeks ago.
Yeah,
like Daniel Bryan, he didn't come across as a dummy, but he got halfway through. I really want to see what I would love to see is the Miz try and pull some kind of cheating nonsense, and Daniel Bryan looks like he's going to fall for it, and then he gets dirty. Yeah. And he ends up coming out on top. But I want him to come out on top, like where he's like, I'm not falling for this shit again. But what I think will probably happen is the Miz will probably go over for cheating. Whether that actually impacts the stipulation of the winner facing the WWE champion, I don't know. I could see something changing if the Miz cheats, and then Bry talks to Paige, and and something gets changed. I could see that happening.
That's interesting. Because I couldn't see that. Well, I could. Because WWE, they like to do carbon copies of their matches. But we already have the Crown Jewel main event, which is going to be Strowman versus Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. And my assumption is this future title opportunity would be at the Crown Jewel as well, too.
Yeah.
So that being said, I actually see Daniel Bryan going over. So Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles at the Crown Jewel. Then I actually see Miz kind of screwing over Daniel Bryan there, and ultimately leading to a Survivor Series match for Team Miz versus Team Bryan. That's where I'm going to go with that one. But I'm on the fence here because I actually see I can see either one of them going over. That's where we part ways. We'll see again who the Prince of Predictions will be for that.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, 2 more final matches. AJ Styles versus Mojo. I think we kind of speed this up. I'm going to say AJ Styles in that one.
Same here.
I think we've had a great storyline with them. They could still drag it out again. I mean, it doesn't have to be over yet, but at this point, I'll stick to my theory. I feel like AJ Styles is going to hold that title longer than Bruno Sammartino and go 7 years, which is unheard of. But I definitely see AJ Styles breaking Brock Lesnar's record, which really, at the end of the day, Brock Lesnar broke CM Punk's record just for selfish reasons. I think. It's pretty easy. I mean, Brock Lesnar wrestled about 6 or 7 matches and broke a record. But I'm okay with it, I guess, on one hand, because CM Punk is very anti-WWE and in some cases anti-wrestling, which I might take that back. I don't know if he's necessarily anti-wrestling, but definitely anti-WWE. And someone that's holding a record like that, you don't necessarily want to be the beacon. And so there you go. And then again, Brock Lesnar is someone you don't really want to be the beacon, where he is more of a two-sport person. A lot of it's storyline in terms of him hating the fans, but there's actually some reality there as well too, of how Brock Lesnar is really just getting his purse, so to speak, as a prize fighter. But that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I'm with you though. I think Styles will go over. I'm not so sure about the 7-year thing. Maybe that'd be interesting to see happen. I can't comment on that, but I could definitely say that I don't think this storyline has much left to go. I can't, once you get to the home invasion, unless we actually see Joe kidnapping Wendy and the child, there's just not much else I could see happening. If this were Attitude Era, they could keep it going for 6 more months with all kinds of insane stuff. He cooks AJ Styles' dog or something, But in the PG era,
poor Pepper. You just brought up the Pepper storyline.
As disturbing as that storyline is, I think that's a classic. I love that whole thing with I think that's great. But I just don't see the storyline going anywhere else. Where else can you go? I feel like this no DQ, no count out, must have winner match is going to be it, where AJ just gets to unload on Samoa Joe. Maybe the feud can continue, but not with the angle of Joe wanting to be the man of the house kind of thing.
Maybe. Yeah, I think at this point, a storyline can go on forever where, we talked about this in our last podcast with Hell in a Cell, which Hell in a Cell was meant to be the delta of a program, really meant to finish it off. Yeah. And I think what we saw with Hell in a Cell, where we saw a no contest, a no contest in a Hell in a Cell match, it's meant to actually keep everyone out, one, which we know doesn't really happen, but two, it's meant to have a definitive winner. We didn't have that. So now it's to me, a no DQ, no count out. If a Hell in a Cell can be a genesis for more matches after that, I think the same is true with the no DQ, no count out.
So that's kind of a bad precedent there, doesn't it?
Yeah. But to your point, right, where else can we go with this? It's been going on since early August with SummerSlam and whatnot. But we'll see. I don't know.
Let's just. It was pretty good, but you don't want to drag this on too long. Maybe we'll get some kind of appearance by Wendy again. There'll be some shenanigans. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is Samoa Joe was brought on to be an enhancement talent. So when you know that, it's kind of like he's not going to really go over. But he's been playing the part full. I'm sorry, I cut you off earlier. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just agreeing with your point about it being an enhancement. Yeah, he's not there to win. He's there to help Styles. Yeah.
All right, last but not least, Undertaker versus Triple H. I'm going to go with Undertaker on this one. I think for a variety of reasons. I think that they need to keep Undertaker, even though he's only had 2 losses at WrestleMania. Those have taken parts from him. And I think that the mysticism is not as much there. But I feel that with his victory over Triple H, it could do a couple things. One, it's going to set up a Triple H HBK match, which I keep thinking is going to happen at WrestleMania, perhaps, which I would see Triple H going over at that point. But I think that we've also heard rumors of Undertaker, Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series. I've also heard Shawn Michaels, Triple H at Survivor Series. So it's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens here. We could even see Team DX versus the Brothers of Destruction at Survivor Series as well, too. But at the end of the day, I see Undertaker going over here.
Same here. Taker, no doubt about it. I think that's what people are going to want. And as interesting as this match is going to be, I'm sure it will be, it's almost in some ways more interesting to see what's going to come out of it. Because you were talking about, like, it's basically a mix and match, pick your dream match situation. Oh, do you want Shawn Michaels versus Triple H? Dream match. You want Taker versus Michaels? Dream match. DX, dream, So it's take your pick. I think no matter what happens, unless they screw it up like Hell in a Cell or something, with some nonsense, I think everybody's going to win, no matter what.
Yeah. I think that we're going to... And that's the thing. Like, Kane, has obviously still been... He's putting his pause on his duties in Knox County as mayor for this, which is pretty cool. But I feel like they're going to be prepared to take some bumps. I know that Kane has stayed in relatively good shape. Shawn Michaels being, I think he's officially like a Performance Center ambassador, kind of the last stop between the Performance Center to NXT. So he's done a lot of training. But I know he's been staying in shape and actually still working out. So I expect him to maybe take some bumps in this match. But I think the Undertaker's going to go over at this. And if the rumors are true, I think we might get to see a slice of HBK because there is this rumor of HBK coming back for one more match, which remains to be seen. But with that we do,
I anticipate a super kick being delivered to someone if that happens, and then the crowd going insane.
Yeah,
and then that's it.
I could see that. Well, I think that where some people see an Undertaker Shawn Michaels match, I could see that. But I also think there's a lot more story between HBK and Triple H, given more of the history. Also, Triple H can make the whole argument where, honestly, Triple H should have been the first one to take the streak in that Hell in a Cell match. He had Undertaker dead to rights, had the sledgehammer ready, and then Shawn Michaels, as the referee, took it away and said, hey, you don't have to do that. But because he did that, Undertaker was able to slip through with the victory. So I think right there, that's part of it. And then, of course, the storyline with them and DX, Triple H, there's a really easy storyline here where Triple H could be like, hey, look at me now, look at you, I used you. I used you through all those years when you were the main eventer. I hung on your coattails. I did what I needed to do. And I've said before, I'm not a good person. And that they can make this whole thing implode and make it one final match where I could see Triple H going over. Because Triple H needs a win at WrestleMania. Now, a lot of people give Triple H crap for, obviously being the boss's daughter's husband, putting himself in the limelight.
Golden shovel.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I think that he's earned his way. I think he's fought a lot of battles. I think that he has done wonders for the history of wrestling. He's been a torchbearer as needed. When I think sort of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rock played hot potato with the torch, Triple H was there to make sure it got passed on to Cena, Orton, and Batista, respectively. But that being said, Triple H, he's got probably one of the worst records at WrestleMania. He's won a bunch of matches, but I know after really WrestleMania 20, starting with WrestleMania 21, he hasn't won a whole lot.
Yeah, well...
With the exception of Sting, I guess, but...
Don't get me started on that match. But I feel like Triple H is one of those guys where it just doesn't matter now. I get what you're saying, though. He should, if you want him to become this kind of like... this end boss type person, like he needs to win, but I feel like a lot of people, you ask the average wrestling fan who doesn't necessarily know all the stats, and they might not be able to tell you that, like they might not be able to recognize that Triple H loses so damn much at WrestleMania.
Right.
It just, so I could go either way on that.
Well, that's the thing. The only reason it's worked is that it's because he is of something special. He's something of value to overcome.
Right.
And they have to kind of refresh that and pump it in. So I think that he would need some type of victory. I don't think he'll get it tonight or this morning at Super Showdown.
Yeah,
but I could see something like a victory over Shawn Michaels where obviously if he's going to wrestle one final match, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to go over.
Yeah.
But again, you could make it a farewell match and, but, it remains to be seen. So, yeah. All right, well, without further ado, we're going to watch some wrestling. We'll get back to you here in a little bit.
That's right, folks. Next time you hear us, it'll be 4 hours from now, approximately. See you in a bit, folks.
Later.
Many hours later.
And we're back.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
So, Josh,
time to play the game.
We played the game. The game is over. And we just watched Super Showdown 2018. And I think overall that was a pretty good pay-per-view.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
It didn't really break new ground too much, but not bad.
Yeah, no, I thought overall it was pretty good. Top to bottom, some pretty good matches. I thought it was a great main event. I thought there were some surprises along the way. Overall, top to bottom, thought it was a overall pretty good pay-per-view. Let's just take it from the top, right? So, I guess we can just kind of... But let's take it from the top. So, I mean, you'd mentioned... we were talking about... Well, first of all, we did the Prince of Predictions. So give us kind of the layout of how that works.
We went over each match, and we picked who we thought was going to win. And then we lined that up with what actually happened. And it turned out we tied at...
So there's no Prince.
No Prince.
No Prince of Prediction.
Prince. So, yeah.
We had our own no contest. It was a no contest.
Right, no big deal.
We'll pick it up though. We're gonna have a new champion, a new prince crowned, if you will.
There you go.
At the Crown Jewel.
That's right. Next time, I think we'll mix it up more. So the first match of the night was New Day versus The Bar for the Smackdown Tag Team Championship.
That's right. And that was I actually went with The Bar on that one, but I should have never bet against New Day, right? So. It was a great match overall. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Sheamus and Cesaro. That's where I was kind of thinking, and I predicted that they would win this to keep them as a stable, to keep them as a unit. Because otherwise, I haven't seen them... Well, with Sheamus, they've done a lot with him, of course, as a singles wrestler. Cesaro's had his moments, but nothing really came of this. But maybe this is a good, as far as like bouncing board for them to look at maybe splitting them up.
Could be. I actually picked New Day. But to your point about The Bar, yeah, I mean, Cesaro, he won the Andre the Giant. He's done a few things, but it's never really pushed him as far as Sheamus. So I'd be open to that if they wanted to split him up. Do something with Cesaro. Mm-hmm. Something. Get him new music. He never liked his opening theme, so don't go back to his old song. But give him something to do here. I don't know. Put them in a program. I mean, maybe just make them feud. Make it be an angry breakup.
Well, and that's what it should be. I mean, it started off with a feud. And that's where they had wrestled, and they had like the best of 7 match. They had several like different no contests.
Yeah.
They really dragged that out, and then they eventually became tag team partners and won the tag team titles and formed the Bar. So it's almost like they could have an implosion, sort of jump back to. What they were doing, yeah, and sort of finish it off. I always thought it'd been cool if they had like an Iron Man match to sort of end it all, but
that would have been a nice payoff.
Yeah, but well, I mean, at this point, they're, keep me honest, 3-time tag team champions, so maybe no, I think they're 4 actually. I think they're 4-time tag team champions. So they've not only had a feud, but they've made quite the career out of it for a unit. But so overall, it's a pretty cool match. And then Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair for SmackDown Women's Championship. And it's interesting. I think that we both thought that Becky Lynch would actually win, which in theory she walked out with the title, so she basically won. Yeah. But Charlotte ended up getting the DQ victory, which you know how I feel about those. I mean, again, it's one of those. I don't think they belong. And this is essentially a pay-per-view, for what you want to call it, for lack of a better word. It was basically a pay-per-view.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it wasn't like a regular TV show. I don't believe countouts and DQs belong on a pay-per-view, especially when it's a women's match. And it's interesting because this is how this whole piracy thing started in the first place, where people got tired of paying $60 for a pay-per-view, and they started stealing it, started legally streaming it, because they're like, well, I pay $60 for a pay-per-view and then it ends in a DQ. Well, what the heck? And so then you had the network, which was kind of a happy medium. People are like, all right, now I don't really have a reason to steal. It's $10 a month and I get all this wrestling. But now I feel like because everyone's got the network, it's almost like a Sunday night Raw. And so they have these countouts, these pay-per-views that end in like DQs and countouts and so on and so forth. But again, I thought it was cool to see Becky Lynch walk out the women's title. I didn't like the finish though.
I'm with you too. None of that DQ nonsense. Get that out of here. Especially for this feud. I really like Becky. I really liked her feud with Charlotte. So for them to pull this nonsense, it's not good.
Well, it's another sandbagging. They're sandbagging for the crown jewel probably, which is whatever. But again, I want some.
Like for me, it's just like let somebody win this one.
Right.
Like at some point somebody's got to friggin' win. You can't be so worried about it. Oh, he looks weak. This person looks weak. It's
right.
No, just let somebody win for Christ's sakes.
Well, yeah, and this is a perfect situation where they could have had, I think, Becky Lynch go over, maybe not cleanly, but they could have had her go over, and then, that's where if you want to get Charlotte back in the picture,
right? You
put together some type of 8-woman tournament, and then she wins that again, climbs to the top again, and then takes on Becky Lynch. But, yeah, to me, it was another way just to sandbag, which, again, via a pay-per-view, I don't think it's the way to go, and I think it starts creating this sort of why tune in type thing, although... I don't know. I think people always tune into WWE and pro wrestling at the end of the day, despite all that. But anyway, sorry.
That's the thing. I think you're right. Is they have our money already every month.
Right.
So I'm not saying that Vince and company are just like, we can slag off, but they're less concerned. They don't have to worry about that. I mean, there are still people who buy pay-per-views, obviously, for whatever reason they can't do the network or whatever, but I'm sure it's such a small number now compared to, because I think there's like 1.5 million subscribers for the network right now.
Something like that. Well, yeah, and even WrestleMania, you have to get from the network. You can't get through a pay-per-view, I don't believe, anymore.
So, really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's how they get new subscribers. I mean, you kind of hook them in, So, but you have to, I think, get it through the network itself. But, yeah, no, I mean, it drives me nuts because I get why they do it. I get from a business standpoint they have to drag things out. But me, being selfish, for my own selfish fan reasons, I like to see nice storylines. I don't like to see these too many dusty finishes. I don't like to see false finish after false finish after false finish. I like to kind of see some concrete, like, this is the end of a feud. If we need to as far as get it going again, make it natural, make it organic, make it just better. But it feels too blocky. That's kind of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's that. I think part of it is nowadays, they've just been doing this so long. It's like there's a formula, but somehow they also manage to overthink it at the same time. Just let somebody win.
Right. And everyone's got to be protected. They got
it's too much.
Right. Well, they got to drag storylines out as long as they can. But
just stop. Don't do that, guys. What is the deal? Just let Becky, somebody win. I would have even been okay with if she had cheated a little bit and had kind of a heel win.
Yeah.
But hey.
Well, it was interesting because at the end it was sort of like you saw Charlotte be like, my title, and it was almost kind of like this obsession sort of almost, I don't want to say anti-heel if that makes any sense, but it was interesting. It was almost these shades of heel where I felt like Becky kind of walked out not only with the victory but sort of the moral victory as well too, even though she lost via DQ. It's just this is again where I think they should have, if anything, they could have had Charlotte as a heel and Becky Lynch as a face. I think people want to boo Charlotte just because of her pedigree. I think that they want to boo her because they know that the WWE machine is forcing her down our throats. But at the end of the day, people respect her, so it'd be one of those, if she was a heel, people would love to boo it. But I think it's interesting. They're playing these conflicted personalities between Charlotte and Becky, and you really don't know who the heel or face is.
I like that idea better.
Well, and I do, and it sort of lends to what Cody Rhodes mentioned, that there are no heels, there are no faces, because every wrestler and their persona is different. And I know I'm sort of paraphrasing this, but every wrestler and their persona or character is different based on the country they're in, the continent they're in, the situation. Every scenario is different, so on and so forth. So I kind of like that, and if that's the intention, all right. But again, my bigger problem is the actual finish of a DQ. But anyway, I think after that, what do we have? We had Bobby Lashley and I think John Cena.
I do believe that was the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, Cena, Lashley versus Owens and Elias.
Well, let's talk about John Cena's hair.
It's weird. He looks like JBL almost.
I really thought it was a JBL Cena. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, like
he looks old as shit. He looks like he's gonna sell me insurance. Like you know.
He looks well. He looks very domesticated. I think that it's probably for a movie part or something. He's doing a lot of filming or whatnot. I'm not sure what, but he's doing a lot of filming.
Right.
But it kind of threw me off because I'd never seen him really with long hair. He's always sort of had the sort of flat top,
real
military
buzz.
cut, real buzz,
Oh, yeah.
that type of, and it was interesting to see him with like longer hair, but he had very much of a Steve Rogers type thing going on,
yes.
with like Captain America type deal. But pretty much the match what you expected. Cena and Lashley went over. I think Kevin Owens
fairly standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad. I mean, because you got good people, but nothing special.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was at the end where Cena sort of talked about, hey, I don't know what the future holds for me type thing.
Yeah.
Cena has always been on the sort of stance that he'll be with the WWE forever. He'll be a part-time worker and whatnot. He won't get to be like The Rock, where you maybe come back once every 5 years or decade or something. He's kind of maintained that position where, I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to be here in some facet of the position of the WWE in some position one way or another. And then, but he mentioned that tonight. He was like, I wasn't sure, what the future holds for me, and so on and so forth. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But obviously, the Hollywood thing is taking off for him. It's a good way to make some money, right? You can't wrestle forever.
Yeah.
So I certainly can't blame him for that. It was good to see him back. Like I've said before, I'm not part of the C Nation. I've never been a huge John Cena fan, but I've never hated him. I've never booed him.
Yeah.
I've always given him credit for putting as Jim Ross says, a butt every 18 inches. I've always been really mesmerized by his promos, his ability to move storylines. I actually think he's a good pro wrestler. I think that he gets a bad rep when you're the face of the company. You get neutered in a way. You do your 5 or 6 moves, and that's just how it works. And so I think that he was sort of stuck to that. But when I think about that SummerSlam match with him and AJ Styles, that really showed a lot. I think that he's delivered quite a bit. And he's a very well accomplished wrestler. I also think about the Shawn Michaels match with him and Shawn Michaels and John Cena in the UK. That was a really great match.
Oh yeah. And
I think what ticked me off the most was they didn't actually. I think they did announce it when it was filmed, but then it was televised. They strategically cut it out. It turned out to be a non-title matchup. So it was Shawn Michaels versus John Cena. It went on about 45 minutes long. And at the end, Shawn Michaels goes over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Shawn Michaels is the new champion. And then immediately Michaels Cole comes in. Oh, and Shawn Michaels with a non-title victory. I'm like, oh, see, and it was really clever. So, but anyway, it was a great match nonetheless. And so, yeah, it was good to see John Cena there. But I think the bottom line is you knew they were going to win because Bobby Lashley needed a victory.
Oh,
he is not over at all.
He could be. He really could be. But they're doing him wrong.
Well, no, we've talked about that too. Where I think that they ought to make Bobby Lashley more of a humble character, make him more of a quiet, reserved guy, and happy and whatnot. And then sort of like as the bell hits, then he turns into the Hulk, and he's like this, awesome, just this awesome absolute power of energy in the ring. But they kind of make him almost like sort of this jerk guy. He comes out marching, constantly interrupts like Elias when the fans really want to hear him. And even though I know that WWE is pushing Elias as a heel, the fans love him and actually want him to be out longer. So by Bobby Lashley cutting him off, that doesn't actually help his character out. They're trying to make Bobby Lashley a super heel. So I guess what I would do is make him more where Bobby Lashley's getting interrupted, or maybe in the sense that Bobby Lashley is just sort of keeping to himself, and then the heels mess with him type situation. But I don't know, man. Bobby Lashley, I haven't liked his character development. Edge said something about that in an interview recently. I was never a huge fan of Bobby Lashley the first time around. I actually felt he was a lot more over, maybe. But even then, he was still kind of forced down our throats with his first run when he won the ECW title. Most fans were really, I think, looking forward to, at the time, CM Punk winning the ECW title. So there is that to contend with. But Bobby Lashley's had his WrestleMania moments. Of course, we talked about the Battle of the Billionaires in the last episode, where it was basically Trump's wrestler was Bobby Lashley, and then Vince McMahon had Umaga or Umanga, as he used to call him. Remember that? He would call him Umanga.
He called him Umanga, yeah.
And there's actually, if I understand correctly, Umaga is accepted, but then Umanga was actually correct because of like the actual pronunciation of like the different letters or whatnot. So Umanga was actually correct, but of course Umaga was what it was advertised as. So I just thought that was interesting that Vince McMahon was the only one that actually was calling him that properly, I guess. But nonetheless, I digress. But yeah, I kind of knew Bobby Lashley, John Cena to pull a victory here. But boy, I feel like they've got Elias and Kevin Owens. They got lightning in a bottle there. I'd like to see what they're going to do with Elias here at some point. Like what they've got him doing right now is working, but WWE is always evolving. They usually kind of kill their darlings before they actually hatch. And when they have a good thing going, they want to cut it and then put it back and move on and move forth. And that's how you always kind of stay relevant. Obviously, you kill your darlings and you keep on pumping out new things. So I don't know what they're going to do with Elias in terms of his character development, but. Man, he is over. It's good to see Kevin Owens there, too. But, again, someone else, Kevin Owens, they got to do something else with, too, as well.
Yeah, I feel like they're not utilizing Kevin Owens properly in this combination. It's just, I don't know, he's just there half the time. Like when you see him opening, you got Elias strumming the drum, and Kevin's just like, He's just sitting next to him, just kind of moping there. It looked like they wanted to do something with him a few weeks ago when he, or a little longer ago when he quit, allegedly, and then he just kind of appeared, on the next episode. I don't know what they're doing. Like, where's Sami Zayn? Is he injured?
He's injured,
He's
yeah.
injured.
Yep.
Okay. I think they probably had plans for him and Zayn to do something, and they'd probably derailed everything.
Raw Tag Team Champions or something.
Stuff like that.
Well, it's kind of, the whole thing is with, when I look at Elias and when I look at Kevin Owens, you got two great workers. They're over with the fans. They deliver. They do their job. But to me, it's kind of like what they're doing with the Dogs of War. It's just the Rogues Gallery, throwing a bunch of heels together, see if it sticks. It's kind of the same deal with Kevin Owens and Elias. I mean, there's not really a reason they need to be together.
Yeah.
I guess like when you have limited TV space, you got to pair some people up. But I think that they're deserving of their own programs. But anyway. Yeah, totally knew Lashley and Cena were going over. Of course, the big news of that match, John Cena's hair, he's growing it out.
Oh, 6 Move of Doom.
That's...
Now, what did they call it? And the announce team said something?
Yeah, so it was the 6th move of Doom. I think, like I said, I think we had mentioned this before, the first time he did that was at a house show in Japan recently. But yeah, he did it again, and I think it's just goofy as heck. I think the 5-knuckle shuffle is goofy, but it's like the people's elbow.
Yeah.
And it's like Hogan's big boot. There's sort of these setup matches or setup things. But this one I think is just completely goofy. But
well, the crowd seemed to like it.
Well, the crowd seems to like it, and that's what matters if you get over the crowd. So let's just talk about the cruiserweight next. Let's go there.
Why not?
Let's break all the rules. Yeah, this is one we actually both got wrong. We both actually said Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
And I think it's sort of led to at least our sort of. I don't think you and I both really keep up with 205. We've mentioned we just don't have time to keep up with all the wrestling. And I kind of went into this thinking that, in hindsight, Cedric Alexander had been Cruiserweight champion for about 6 months now. So maybe it sort of lent itself to be that he would, at this point, drop the title. I didn't see him actually drop him to Buddy Murphy, mainly because I think I didn't realize how over Buddy Murphy was. I was sort of caught off guard. I realized he was kind of a hometown as far as boy in this situation, but he came out and he just looked hot. Like, holy crap, he was on fire. The crowd was really with him.
That was a big pop.
He's really put himself together. And like I said, I haven't seen him. I don't watch 205 a whole lot, but from his days in NXT when he was a tag team champion, he's looking a lot quicker, leaner, and he was ready tonight. And it was just tonight was his night, and I think they really got something in here with him. So yeah, it was cool to see him win. But yeah, we both thought it would be Cedric Alexander.
Yeah. I mean, I got to plead ignorance. I mean, I just picked Cedric Alexander just because I thought they weren't going to shake things up too much.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not that familiar with 205, what's the goings-on. So, hey, good for you on changing things up, WWE, on a show I don't watch, but,
Well, and that's the thing, and I think that you have a huge point there because 205 has really lacked some leadership. And if you think about it, like Neville was there, kind of kept things together, but then there was the contract dispute.
Oh, yeah.
And then Enzo sort of came in there, and I think at first kind of shuffled things around, but then we of course know how that sort of played off. So 205 was really looking for a hero, so to speak, someone to really kind of keep things consistent. And I think Cedric Alexander really did that. Like I said, he's been champion since WrestleMania, 6 months now, and where really I think the title was sort of being bounced around here and there. So I think that he did a good job keeping things consistent. I shouldn't be overly surprised, but like I said, when I wanted to change my prediction, we were watching the show, I wanted to change my prediction after Buddy Murphy came out because he was just so over. And I just remember being like, this guy's got it. Like, I really could see him, like, winning this title now.
No.
And then, boom, there we go. So, it sounds kind of weird. Like, I'm just saying, like, hey, based on his entrance. But, hey, not being so attentive with 205, or actually following it, rather. Dude, I really felt it. I think it's a cool move, and I'm really looking forward to actually checking out 205.
Yeah, I might give it a shot. I mean, it was an entertaining match. It was exciting stuff. Those high flyers and the little guys, they can do a lot.
Yeah.
So how about Ronda Rousey and the Bellas versus the Riot Squad?
Yeah, I think we called this like it was going to be. I'll say it again. Ronda Rousey's getting better with every match.
Yeah.
Of course,
really
she was a gold medalist in judo for the U.S. Olympic team. She's a UFC, former world champion, Hall of Famer as well too. And so she's actually, a hell of an athlete, and she's really just. While her promos could use a little bit more work, in ring she is definitely, while she's a bit choppy at times, I think she delivers, and I think she is definitely. What I'm interested in is how are they going to actually challenge her? Because I feel like every match she comes into, it's like she's Goldberg. She's just going to win.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see, are they going to have Alexa Bliss be able to, after Evolution, which I would assume Alexa Bliss will beat Trish Stratus. And I think to kind of give Alexa Bliss that sort of upper echelon feel.
Sure. Yeah, I can't see Trish winning. I don't see the point of that.
Is that what they're going to do? Or maybe they're going to wait for like Shayna Baszler? Or maybe they're waiting for like an Asuka match against Ronda Rousey? I don't know.
I could see Asuka because, I feel like you need someone who's a credible contender on that same level that Rousey is. Even though she hasn't been there that long, she has this high level thing going on, And I think Asuka might be a good choice for that. And I'm just interested to see what happens. I think Asuka would be best. As much as I like Alexa Bliss, it doesn't click with me, that being the thing. I just don't really see it. I see Alexa Bliss more like a stepping stone or a transition or something like that. But Asuka, that's a good call. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
But we knew Rousey was going to win this. The worst we were thinking might happen would be that they lose, but one of the Bellas gets pinned.
Specifically, probably Brie, but yeah.
Yeah, like Rousey would probably be out of the ring at that point on the side, so you don't even see her during that loss. But no, they just won. It was cool. There was that double armbar finisher with the two of them. That was cool. And so let's see. Next up, we had Oscar and Naomi versus the Iconics.
Yeah, we called that one. It was one of those. I just felt the Iconics. They got that heat as a heel. Now, I don't think they're at the Vicky Guerrero heat quite yet.
That's gonna take a while.
Well, I mean, to me, that's where you want to be. That's the metric. And it sounds interesting to say because Vicky Guerrero wasn't really an official wrestler per se. She had wrestling matches.
It happened, yeah.
But the heat she got from crowds, I have just never seen. The whole "excuse me."
Oh, she's so good.
She was so good. She hit that mark, and of course, being from the legendary Guerrero family, no surprise there that you know how to work a crowd. But man, it was. I think that the Iconics, they got that heat going, but I still think they got to turn it up. And I knew a victory today over that team. That's what they needed, and they did it easily. They got the win over Naomi, not Asuka, and which made I think it even a little bit sweeter too. But yeah,
Iconics win.
Win.
Decent match, I guess. Nothing special. I feel like Asuka maybe is a better singles performer than a tag teamer. Like not that she can't work with others, but that she's just such a bright star. You know what I mean? That she deserves to be. Naomi, I always felt she was a good wrestler, but I don't know. She's just kind of dull. We were talking about that before.
Yeah, I think with Naomi, yeah, and I was really glad to see when Naomi got the title. She is one of those charismatic workers. I've always thought underrated, and I was glad to finally see that. I've always felt like her promos are just kind of shouting.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see more of just like, And again, I think it lends itself to being scripted in WWE. I'm guessing they give her a script where I would just kind of let her say her thing and just go from there. And I think that you get more an authentic level, because I do feel sometimes there's sort of this shell to Naomi. But again, as a wrestler, pound for pound as a wrestler, she is awesome. And I was so excited to see her get the title when she did. And they're keeping her dancing around the main event, which as they should as well too. But I still I like both of them. But I guess my question is, where are they going with Asuka? You know, she had this undefeated streak till WrestleMania, and then she, of course, had her loss to Carmella, and she's just kind of been sort of just treading water at this point.
Yeah.
I'd like to think they're going to build maybe till she wins a back-to-back Royal Rumble and then goes to face Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. That would be something I think that could, put her back on the map, and I think it could be something that Ronda's first loss could be respectable if it went to someone like Asuka.
Absolutely. Well, like I was saying before, I feel like Asuka right now is the only one at the level that would seem like a credible threat. So I hope that they do that. We'll see what they're planning. Because, Asuka's booking and stuff has been kind of aimless. It was just a mistake for them to have her drop the streak at all. They could have kept it a little longer. I feel like it didn't do Charlotte anything. It only did damage to Asuka, I'd argue.
I disagree. I actually think that it just cemented Charlotte even further as the standard, as the measuring stick for the women's evolution and revolution here to come in the coming years.
Maybe, but I feel like the cost just was too high. You know what I mean? To damage Asuka to help Charlotte,
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't want to see the streak end, but I think it was the issue they were also in with Asuka is that at some point streaks are meant to be broken, right? And I feel like this is, if it was going to be broken, this was one of those moments where it was Charlotte Flair, the stars aligned at WrestleMania. It was a big moment. And still, but it was
it's too soon though. I feel.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it was. They either did it now, or the next time they might have the opportunity to do it would be years from now, and they keep an undefeated streak going for like 5 or 6 years. That's a tough sell because you're going to run out of people maybe. But I actually personally, I would have stretched it out a little bit longer. But and I would have had her win the women's title, so that way you kind of have this thing. It's like, well, she's either going to get injured, drop it. Then there's this tournament, and she'll come back and she can still be undefeated, or the next time she loses the world title is the next time she's defeated for the first time. That's where I liked to see. I would have liked to see them go with it, but so I think it did a lot for Charlotte. It did cement her further, and then Carmella getting the as far as the second win over it. It was one of those things where I'm a huge Carmella fan. I've always liked her a lot. I think she's actually brings some pretty good heat. She's a great worker. I think she was deserving to hold the title. She definitely put her time in NXT and, of course, on Smackdown. So I was glad to see her get the Money in the Bank and the championship and all that.
Wow. Well, that's not. The problem with that is there's always going to be that asterisk that has James Ellsworth's face on it. You know what I'm saying?
I say in the world of pro wrestling is hook or crook. It doesn't matter how you get there. It matters that you just get there. So you can have an asterisk, but at the end of the day, who officially won it? Carmella.
Right.
And even then, she had to put it back up on the line, and she won it again. So
that's true. I'll give you that.
So I think that again, it's not about how you do it. It's how in pro wrestling, it's about winning. At the end of the day,
sound like Corey Graves over
here. Hey, that's
a win's
the reality.
A win, Michael.
A win is a win. A win is a win. That's what you got to do.
It's true. It's true.
But no, anyway, I thought it was interesting that they gave. My only problem with Carmella getting the sort of second loss over Asuka was that they didn't do much with Carmella thereafter. She was really champion for a couple months, and that was about it. And to me, I'm like, well, you're the second loss to Asuka. You cashed in your Money in the Bank. I would have liked to see a longer title reign with Carmella, but that was the only thing I thought was weird about that. No, at this point, I think they keep building up Asuka. She's still at a 2-loss record, but I think it's time for her to get the title.
I agree. Well,
or maybe wait until Royal Rumble and get that shot against Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
Yeah, could be. We'll see what happens at Evolution.
Well, we'll see.
But I'm curious to see what they do with Asuka.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's the thing. They're going to have this giant battle royal. I'm assuming, right? 50 like women are participating, so I don't think they have 25 matches.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they could. It's a network, so maybe they could. But no, I'm looking forward to that pay-per-view for a variety of reasons. But no, I just think this is it's something that a lot of people have wanted to see for a while. I remember especially growing up, I actually kind of always asked that question, why are there not more female wrestlers? Really, when I started watching wrestling when I was younger, it was just, at that time, I just remember a lot of Alundra Blaze and Bertha Faye matches. And I always just kind of thought it was weird there weren't like more female matches. And of course, here we are with the women's revolution and evolution, as you could say. And it's great because I mean you're getting to see all this different talent. It's great to see people like Mickie James still around. Trish Stratus is going to show up at this thing. Of course, you have Alexa Bliss, and the list goes on and on. Lita's coming back. The list goes on and on and on and on. And I think it's good to kind of see this type of equality. You're starting to see as far as female main events.
Yeah,
you're not making it based on gender. You're making it based on talent. I think that's the next evolution. That's the way you want to go.
Well, that's the key, right? Now we actually have wrestlers because you just look back like what 20, maybe 15, 16 years, and you had real crap women's wrestling because they were the divas, and the wrestling
divas,
didn't matter.
Well, and it was a lot of
like you had people like Trish Stratus and like legitimate wrestlers too. But there was a lot of just garbage. So I'm glad that that had to happen first, of course. Divas had to go away and had to be just replaced by women.
Right.
And then, I guess you could say it's both ways, right? Like you wouldn't have the divas being replaced if you didn't have quality talent, and you wouldn't have quality talent because if they still have the divas thing going on. So anyway, point is, I'm really glad that they made this step forward because like somebody watching in the Attitude Era. You tell them in 2018, well, they're going to have all women pay-per-views, and it's like serious friggin' wrestling, and they're just as good as the dudes, etc. And you'd be like, ha ha ha, because you're watching like Sable just doing some horrible fucking thing, So it's great. I'm really glad that they stepped it up.
Well, I would expect this to eventually happen too. Like I would expect to see this type of evolution. The one thing I don't think we'll ever see in WWE though is an intergender match. I don't think we'll see intergender matches where women can take on men and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think it's, Triple H has actually said he kind of thinks those things are stupid. And I think the reality of it is if you go to see like an independent show like Shikara, you've actually seen females win the world title.
Yeah.
And females and men, it's all about, it's kind of like the luchador style where it's very, I don't want to say over the top, but the characters are very much larger than life.
Yeah.
Every pro wrestler is larger than life, but especially luchadors in the sense that they're pretty much like superheroes and have superpowers, so to speak. And Shikara is no different. So in that, where you actually see women wrestle men, they're both kind of like, it's like a Wonder Woman versus Superman.
It's already a little bit of a fantasy element.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a little more equal. But I think the reality is that when you look at WWE, they're trying to be the reality era. And men physically are stronger than women. That's just a scientific fact.
Generally speaking, yeah.
And which is why it kind of automatically just makes genetically right. It just sort of makes the competition off. But, I mean, here's the thing. You see some blends of these, like where Chyna was wrestling men. She was holding, like, the Intercontinental title and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So there is, I think, an opportunity for that. And to me, it's like, we talk about, like, Rey Mysterio. All right, just for example, like wrestling these big guys and being sort of a giant killer and wrestling and beating people like Big Show and Kevin Nash. Well, what's to say that a woman, even though she doesn't have as much strength as a man, couldn't outwit him and get a quick pinfall or something, or even a submission out of nowhere, right? So that's where it's like, to me, intergender doesn't seem like it could be too far off.
With the right booking.
With the right booking, because just again, if a woman's not as strong as a man, it doesn't mean the man's smarter than her. And that's maybe how she gets over, is because of her intelligence, her smarts,
intelligence, her speed,
stamina, right? These types of things. So I wonder if they can explore that. But it seems like WWE will not go down that route, but they are going to be darn sure to make sure that both genders are equally represented. Which is, hey, that's a step in the right direction, right?
That's fine for right now.
What else we got? Pay-per-view.
The Shield versus Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. Got Dogs of War.
Yeah, man. So again, we both called the Shield.
Yep.
What I really honestly would have liked and seen in this program instead is to drop the whole Dogs of War thing. You want to keep Dolph and Drew McIntyre together, it's fine to have their little things separate, but what I thought would have been cool is if the Shield had reformed to take away Braun Strowman. This way it would have kept Braun Strowman still over, and this is the guy that's flipping semi-trucks. This is the guy that's basically destroying everyone in his path, it would take a Shield to slow him down, right? And that way you have this kind of like almost Justice League versus Doomsday thing, where I think it was the Shield versus Braun Strowman, and they were building to that. And it finally took all of Shield, and they finally beat Braun Strowman. Still, Braun Strowman gets over because it's like, well, he lost, but he also got three guys, and not just three guys. It was the Shield, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I think that would be an extraordinarily entertaining match.
Right, and I think they should have gone that route. And then it also kept Braun Strowman over then for the triple threat coming up with Crown Jewel with the
Crown
Jewel. No, Crown Jewel. Sorry about that. Crown Jewel with that triple threat match with Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and of course WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns.
So, yeah, I mean, good match. I agree with what you're saying about Strowman. I mean, just let him do his thing. I mean, they could have kept him where he was at. Like, they didn't have to turn him heel and team him up with those two. But at the same time, I don't think it's damaging him, because I think people just like Strowman. They want to like Strowman. They're going to like Strowman if he's accompanied by two other guys. They're going to like Strowman if he comes out on a unicycle. I mean, you know, like several months ago, he came out as Brain Strowman, and it killed.
Oh,
before that, I think he played and broke a cello, or a stand-up bass, maybe it was, and that worked. Like, the guy can do anything.
And lest we forget, he is a former tag team champion with the youngest tag team champion of all time.
Yes,
Nicholas. 10 years old was a WWE Tag Team Champion, Nicholas.
Is Nicholas going to appear in the next edition of WWE Encyclopedia?
Well, yeah, of course. He's a former WWE Tag Team Champion.
It's going to be Nicholas, like the photo of the kid looking like he's going to pee his pants.
Most people didn't like it. There was a lot of backlash from it, but I thought it was cool to see Nicholas as a tag team champion.
I mean, I didn't dislike it. I mean, I was happy for the kid because obviously he was having the time of his life.
I wish that could have been me.
Yeah.
I wish that could have been me. That's why I'm so mad at Nicholas, though. I wish that could have been me. I could have had that on my resume.
But
can you imagine that as a special skill and like a job resume?
You just put that
former WWE Tag Team Champion. Like, oh yeah, you got the job. When can you start?
You could. That's provable too. Yeah. No, I didn't have a problem with it. It was more confusing than anything else because, looking back, there was a lot of speculation on who's it going to be. Well, a lot of people are just thinking it's going to be a run-of-the-mill superstar. Yeah. I was hoping that he was just going to go out there and say, no, I don't need anybody. It's just me. And then he just went and fought the two guys. I think that would have been really cool. I don't think anybody expected him to go into the crowd and pull out like a 10-year-old kid. I know. But
no, to your point, which to piggyback that, I thought it'd been cool if he won the tag team champion. He was the tag team champion, I guess, the single tag team champion. Yeah. And he defended the belts by himself for like
just carried
a couple months or something, just as a fun storyline. I wish they would have kind of explored that. But
that would have been great.
But yeah, anyway, Shield went over. I guess our next step is we are going to see Monday Night Raw is going to be here in Chi-Town. And I'm assuming at that point the Dogs of War are going to go over Shield, setting it up for some type of Survivor Series thing, or at the very least, might see Brock Lesnar in Chicago.
Oh, there you go.
And just kind of, that way it could end in sort of a whole no contest. Imagine that. That's where no contest belongs. Yeah, we'll see. So what else we got?
Let's go to, how about Daniel Bryan versus The Miz?
This is where I beat you.
Stipulation was winner faces WWE champion.
I defeated you in this one. You're below me.
You did. I guess The Miz probably through some cheating or shenanigans, but you called Daniel Bryan.
But the interesting thing was, after I predicted, I realized, oh crap, the Marine 6 is coming out, so wouldn't it make sense to have The Miz involved? But here's what actually I think is going to play out now. And I was telling you before, I think that Daniel Bryan is the match with AJ Styles. It was announced officially that at Crown Jewel they're going to have the WWE Championship. I actually predict The Miz to somehow mess it up for Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles to squeak by unknowingly, then seeing like the videotape or something, and then having that whole discussion. But I then see a Survivor Series match where it's Team Miz versus Team Daniels, Team Daniel Bryan.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
And so that's where I kind of see them going with that.
That'd be cool. That makes sense.
But yeah, this was a rubber match. They haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to their first match, which was about 8 years ago. Daniel Bryan, The Miz for the U.S. title, and Daniel Bryan, of course, defeated The Miz for the U.S. title, and that's when Daniel Bryan was the rookie essentially. Wasn't officially the rookie. He was off the NXT, but he was fresh, kind of off the NXT thing, so it was kind of a bigger deal. But yeah, so this is officially the rubber match. Ended pretty quickly.
I was disappointed by how short it was.
I had to go back and look at it, but it seemed like something was off. Like there wasn't actually a count of 3, or there was a kickoff, because even people in the front row were like, "Wait, what happened there?"
Yeah, it was very abrupt.
And even the replay, it just seemed like it was very choppy. Like I don't know, something seemed weird, but yeah, I guess Daniel Bryan has got the pinfall, and is now set to face AJ Styles at the Crown Jewel. That's gonna be an awesome match, by the way.
I think so. I think that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I don't think they've gone against each other yet, have they?
Well, not in the WWE.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, outside of
that.
it. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Big match. But I can totally imagine there being some kind of backlash on Monday with The Miz talking about something. Maybe they're planning something. Maybe that's why it looks so stilted. Maybe, I don't know.
They'll pull they've done that before, like AJ Styles, the Mojo,
yeah.
and of course back in the '90s with British Bulldog and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
so pinfall situation. So
see what happens.
Well, and the other thing is, I hope I don't see like 2 triple threat matches. To me, it seems kind of lazy to have both your world title matches at the next Crown Jewel pay-per-view, both triple threats.
Yeah.
It just seems a little bit lazy.
Carbon copying.
Matches.
Yeah.
So we'll, I guess we'll see how that pays off. But what else do we have after that?
AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. Championship match, and this was no DQ, no countout, and they must have a winner.
Yeah. Ended about the way I thought it would. Yeah, of course, my theory is AJ Styles is going to break Bruno Sammartino's record and hold the title for longer than 7 years. But Samoa Joe is an enhancement talent. That's what he's brought around for. He does a great job. I think he's a great worker. I've always loved to see AJ Styles and Samoa Joe go toe-to-toe. I've seen him on the independent circuit, of course, in the matches in Impact TNA, Ring of Honor. It goes on and on and on. This is just another chapter to that feud that seemingly is over and sort of an AJ Styles as far as fortune at this point. But I really assume that AJ Styles is going to pull through on this one. Good match overall, told a story. But yeah, at this point, I don't see where else they can really go with this. And I think AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, they're starting their program. Yeah,
I agree. Good match. We both called AJ. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying before. Is I don't see this storyline, this whole feud, just having that much longer to go. There's what else can you do aside from Uncle Joe moving in or something to the Styles household as Mrs. Samoa Fire or something. They could have made it work.
They could have made it like a wife swap thing where Samoa Joe got married to Wendy for 30 days or something.
Oh, yeah, see, I miss those outrageous storylines. How about a Wendy Styles on a pole match,
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, that reminds me of things on a pole match. WCW had a Viagra on a pole match.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was just, who was it? Was it Shane Douglas and was it Billy Kidman? Is that right?
Something like
that were in the match. And yeah, but the thing is, when you have these type of something on a pole matches, usually it's like a bat on a pole. So whoever gets it first gets to use it on their opponent.
Right.
So in a match, what are you going to use Viagra with? This is just the stupidest things that WCW would come up with, and just didn't make any sense, and actually kind of offensive, I would say, in a lot of ways too. But that was just WCW for you. But
there's some strange implications there. Right?
Well, yeah, oh, man, I'll tell you, their booking was just to take what was ever relevant, and it didn't matter. Just take something relevant and stick it in the match right then and there. Yeah. And it didn't need to make any sense, and there didn't have to be any payoff whatsoever. And who cares what the fans think? They're just here for Kevin Nash and what's left of the NWO anyway. But anyway, I digress.
It was a good match. Styles was feisty, as you would expect. Like some of these feud matches are fun because they come and they're real fired up. Yeah, it was a good match.
AJ Styles, just one of those once in a 20 years type guys. Gosh, he's just all around.
He's so effortless. It's
so effortless. And, it was one of those where you always hoped that he'd be in the WWE. And I remember watching him in some ways Windy City Wrestling. He used to wrestle with in Chicago-based promotion.
Oh, okay.
And then of course I saw a lot of him on TNA. And I always thought, my goodness, this guy is so awesome. Why is he not in WWE? And of course, left TNA, went to IWGP all over the world, and finally made it to WWE on his own terms. But the entire time, always thought, man, this is a guy that should be in the WWE. So when I finally saw him at the Royal Rumble, I was like, yes. And to see that I am phenomenal on the Titantron, I was like, yes, this is awesome. They brought him up against Roman Reigns. He was number 3, right there in the spotlight. Chris Jericho put him over, and then he was set after that. It was perfect.
Yeah,
but
that was
I think the sky's the limit with him. To me, really, AJ Styles and Seth Rollins, they are the real torchbearers of wrestling right now. Not Roman Reigns. He might be forced, he might be booked as, but I think Seth Rollins.
They're the future.
Yeah, and I think that they're both the future. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's not too late to backpedal, Vince.
Well,
if you're listening to this, Vince, which I'm sure you are, just give it up. Do it hand it over to AJ. He's your guy now.
Well, I think in some ways they have. I think they pretty much are like the number 2s, where you got to have one guy. But again, the only thing I've ever had against Roman Reigns, I think he's a good worker. I really wish. I think he'd cut better promos if they let him just shoot from the hip. But I think it's so scripted that it's just. I mean, there's some of I think of the suckering succotax promo. That was just wow, man. Like what? Like why? Just let him do his own thing.
Or then you have John Cena calling him out on how he can't do promos during a promo. That doesn't help.
I think that was cool, and I think that's because you got to call it. And you got to really dig deep in wrestling, and that's why people like John Cena was that he was able to get real.
He was authentic,
and really making that situation authentic. And it's true, the fans are already thinking it, and I think that's where Triple H is like, hey, if the fans are already thinking it, just go for it.
Yeah,
just give them what they want. But this is a business. As long as we're making money, and you were saying this earlier, it's like WWE's at this point where they're appeasing their board of directors because they make just gobs of money. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what the fans think, but I feel like Triple H is like, what if we can make gobs of money and get the fans happy? Because let's say, what if the fans are actually happy? They might even buy more of your merch.
You'll make more money.
Make even more money.
I mean, I would say invariably that you would make more money. It's just WWE's just. They seem content with what they're doing now. I don't know.
Well, we're talking more strictly like Raw and SmackDown because I watch NXT and I'm like, this is awesome. This is just the best of the both worlds. Where I love the independent circuit. I love to go watch wrestling shows when I can. We're talking AAW, Dragon Gate when they did tour around here, Shikara, Ring of Honor if I get a chance, just to name a few. Any wrestling promotion I can get a chance to see, I'll check it out. And it's just with NXT, it's the best of both worlds. You get that clean commercial feeling of WWE, but then you also get the kind of sort of rustic, the toughness, the grittiness of the independent circuit, all rolled into one. And that's what makes NXT a superior product to their main brands.
Basically, yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Good point. All right, what else we got, man?
Last match of the night, Undertaker versus Triple H for the last time ever with Kane and Shawn Michaels at ringside.
We biffed this, man. We both thought Undertaker. I was biased. Undertaker's my favorite wrestler of all time, but you know what? Here's what I was thinking, and I should have thought about this before. This is very much a la, like, if you think ECW with like the Raven and Tommy Dreamer saga, where that went on for years, and Tommy Dreamer just couldn't beat Raven, and finally, like their final feud in ECW, Tommy Dreamer finally beats Raven, and it was for like the ECW title, and it's like, oh my gosh, it was just like the perfect timing. Yeah. Same situation here too. Undertaker never actually beat Brock Lesnar until like they're like, I think, second to final match. So it didn't actually make to me, I guess in hindsight, it made a little more sense that Triple H would win. And like I mentioned to you before, Triple H, he puts a lot of people over. Yeah. And in order to stay relevant, you have to win at some point. So then that way, when you put people over, it means something. But if you always lose, it doesn't matter as much. Then, right? So it's almost like, okay, I think that he needed to win. It was the end of an era. Well, I'm sorry, this one was the last match ever. But of course, their previous outing was end of an era. So go figure. So I mean, I don't know Josh, where do you think we go from here with this whole? Is there a DX reunion going to happen? Are we going to see Undertaker HBK at Survivor Series? Shawn Michaels HBK? against Triple H at WrestleMania or Survivor Series. What do you think? What do you make of all this? What do you think we're going to see?
Yeah, that's the thing. I was a little surprised. I thought I was going to see more like, I guess you'd say, clues or teases, for lack of a better word, to imply what's going to happen next. But there wasn't too much. I mean, you had Shawn Michaels, interfering, and Kane and Taker knocking him back and things like that. But it didn't really give you a clear path as to what the hell they're thinking. I'd take any of the things you just listed.
But maybe I think that was their goal. Maybe it was because here's the thing with WWE and their storylines, they squeeze as much juice out of that orange as possible. They squeeze it for all it's worth. So maybe this match was more of just that. It was the closure, just to put a definitive closure on this. And then from here, who knows what we'll see? We might actually see that HBK Undertaker match at WrestleMania, or I'm sorry, at Survivor Series, or we might even see a split here. And actually, maybe that's the way to go. We maybe see something where it's like Undertaker versus HBK at Survivor Series, or we just at this point leave it, we drop it, and maybe we see Triple H versus HBK at Survivor Series or WrestleMania as well. The reason why I say all this, there's been rumored for a few months now that Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels is looking to get back in the ring for one more match.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, we've been hearing that. Yeah,
and I can't think of anyone else besides Triple H or Undertaker who, in this case, should wrestle and wrestle each other. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to think about, but me personally, I think seeing a Triple H HBK match would be what's best for business.
I mean, best for business, and maybe from a storyline perspective. I mean, they've got the most history there. Like, I don't know if what they did at the end here when everybody took a bow, if they were trying to do any kind of deliberate nod to the Click incident, or if that was just, it just happened to be four guys in the ring bowing together. It might have just been that. I don't know.
It was sort of, I get what you're saying. It was kind of, it was one of those kind of weird paradoxes, but it reminded me of the end of an era match when it was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, they're all three raising their hands.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That's what I thought they're sort of paying homage to.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't think, I don't think this was deliberate. I don't think they were going to break anything. Because this has been done before at this point. The curtain call went, almost 25 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
That was something that was actually deliberate. And, of course, during that time, heels and faces never hung out.
Big deal.
Now we've seen with social media, we know how much more it's predetermined and all that. But it's a much bigger shock than then. But I don't think there's any implications there. Although it did look very similar to the curtain call incident there, as you mentioned.
Yeah, like I was thinking, I was like, it could just be a coincidence. I mean, that's So who knows where they're going to go from here? But I definitely got the impression that this isn't over. I mean, obviously we got Michael specifically said he's talking about one more match.
Do you think we see DX versus Brothers of Destruction at Survivor Series?
It's.
Shawn Michaels personally probably can't, maybe not carry a match. Who knows? I don't know. It's been 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know. It would definitely be smarter to have him in some kind of at least tag capacity or a three-way so that he's not carrying too much of the weight. But here's the thing about DX. Like, these guys are old. And, like, it was cool back in the day, the crotch chopping and, the language and the innuendos and everything. But then when they brought him back, as we saw, like X number of years ago, they didn't have any of that. It was like green slime they would dump on everybody, and they had like green glow sticks. And it was fun seeing DX again, but it was also at the same time you're kind of like, these guys are old.
It was a shell of what it used to be.
Yeah, and so like if they do it one more time for another match, obviously they're not going to be doing the promos and screwing around as DX, but it's still going to be like, you guys are just... you're old now. I don't know. Maybe not. Because like I said, it'd just be a match. They wouldn't be back as DX on Raw and SmackDown.
But they could be. They could be. So if they have a month-long feud, they are back as DX cutting promos for a couple weeks. Leading up to the pay-per-view and then having the Brothers of Destruction.
Then I wouldn't want to really see that. The modern version of DX where it's like the PG DX. DX works with TV 14 and TVMA. TV PG. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing with in the Cena era, DX when they came back around like 2007, 2008. They made it work. They made it work then.
Sort of.
I don't know if they could do the suck it.
It wasn't. Yeah, well, he does like a stomach chop or something.
Well, what they could do is just be like, we got 2 words for you, make the crowd say it, suck it. And that way they're not doing anything.
Right.
We got 2 words for you, and then just boom, suck it. And have the crowd would be at fault.
Blame them, right? I don't know. It depends how they do it. I like the idea, but I just it's the execution sometimes.
They're also
it's like when the Beach Boys sing about Daddy taking the T-bird away. It's like,
but Josh, by the very nature, their name is D-Generation X. Generation X is 2 generations ago. Well, no. 3. I mean, think about Generation Z, Millennials. No, I guess no, Generation X. Yeah, so it's 2 generations away, basically, from the current one. So they are Generation X and D-Generation X. There you go. So
they're still degenerating, all right.
Not Triple H. Triple H is still looking good.
He was looking good. He was looking really good.
HBK, though, I was a little confused. Was he wearing a headband or something, or what was it?
He had something like a visor or something. It was something.
Yeah. I was surprised. I knew he cut his hair, but I think he'd shaved it all off.
He did. He looked bald.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I just thought he got a haircut, and I saw him with a haircut, but he'd shaved it since.
Took it down.
Yeah. I wonder if they tried something like they tried to give him a haircut just to be like cool, and they're like, oh wow, it looks really bad. We messed up. We're so sorry. We messed up. We have to grow it out again.
Maybe.
Well, they did that. Like, Kaz had a. Do you know Kaz Kazarian? He's
yes.
like, okay, cool. So he was wrestling in TNA. I remember he had a specific match with Chris Daniels. It was a tag match with Christopher Daniels. And they came out, and he used to have like shoulder length long hair, and he came out and it's completely shaved. And I'm like, wow, he doesn't look very good at all. And also the crowd, and it didn't come from Sheamus, it came from Kaz. The crowd started going, "You look stupid. You look stupid." And as a TNA crowd, so it's only 500 people, so it's like more intimate. Where like WWE, it's like they can kind of get lost in a sea of like echoes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And a 500 seater, it's like
it's right there.
It's right there, and you have to just sort of take it. He didn't look great. And I wonder if that's what they do with HBK. They're like, we're gonna make you look more like Triple H. It looks great for Triple H. You used to have long hair. He used to have long hair. It looks great now because he shaved it. We're gonna have you shave yours, and it's gonna look great.
Yeah,
oh my God, we messed up. I'm so sorry. It doesn't look very good.
Yeah, Michael's head is it's just differently shaped. That's the key. Like,
yeah,
Triple H has a real muscular fat head kind of thing going on. It works for him. But
yeah,
but I digress about the hairstyles. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I'm interested to see what they're doing though. That's for sure. What they do end up doing, because I'd love to. Who wouldn't want to see Michaels again, just one more time, Mr. WrestleMania and everything.
To me, it would make more. Well, he's Mr. Hall of Famer now.
Yeah.
To me, it would make more sense to have a farewell match at like Triple H versus HBK at WrestleMania. But I keep thinking, why not have like a triple threat match with Undertaker, Kane? I'm sorry, with Undertaker, Triple H, and HBK, just given the history. But if you think about it, you could almost do the same thing with Kane, in the sense that Kane and Undertaker have a lot of history.
Yeah.
Kane and Triple H have a lot of history because Triple H actually demasked Kane, if you think about it.
That's true.
So that only happened, 15 years ago or so, and that was a big deal for in terms of Kane.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have the Triple H, HBK, history there. Really, the sort of void there is HBK and Kane. There's not a whole lot of history there, with the exception of that Kane debuted in the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and HBK. But so a Fatal 4 would make sense, but I do kind of see a triple threat match of strictly Triple H, HBK, and Undertaker. But to me, it wouldn't make any sense at this point, and it would be really be a huge bait and switch, an even bigger bait and switch we've ever seen with WWE. If they say, okay, final match ever, and then we're having this triple threat match, then it's like, well, we only told you Triple H, Undertaker. We didn't say anything about a final, a Fatal 4, a triple threat, or so on and so forth. So it'd almost be just too soon, and I think the fans would just feel like, what the hell, type situation. But to me, it makes the most logical sense that this is closure, let bygones be bygones. Officially, Triple H gets the victory. I wouldn't call it moral victory, but maybe the power victory goes to Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah.
Where they walked out with just Triple H and HBK laid out.
Classic, right?
But yeah, I think that's. I don't know where we go from here. To me, I see HBK and Triple H maybe.
I don't know. They could go either way. They could end it there, like you're saying. They could keep going. Too early to tell, I'd say.
Too early to tell. So, hey, did we get emails, by the way? Did we have we checked our inbox yet at all?
We did, but nothing is in the hot box just yet.
Just yet. Okay. Cool.
But it's going to heat up soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're going to do next time. Is we've decided that we're going to kind of do more like what if situations. We'll do some calling of shows and whatnot. I guess not calling, but maybe reviews of shows down the road. But I think really our next stuff we're going to focus. Our next vlog we're going to focus on potential Legends House Season 2 cast members.
Yeah, I really like this because I really enjoyed Legends House.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not much for reality shows at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only thing I ever watched was back in the day, like a couple seasons of The Apprentice, stuff like that. I'm just not into it. But Legends House, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
For what it was. I mean, they still had some of that silliness with the reality shows, but it was really interesting hearing Piper talk about things and just the connections that these people make, and it's fascinating. So I wish they would do another one.
Oh, I can only imagine it's in the works. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine it's in the works. But
I hope.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. What else? Well, of course, we're going to hopefully get your suggestions if you happen to hear this.
Yeah, be sure to send them to Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling at gmail.com. Everything, where every word spelled out, no ampersands or spaces.
Yeah, we're just kind of gonna kick it and talk about wrestling. Really throw anything our way. I mean, we'll talk about it, and that's really what we're doing. Is kind of exploring things. But so that I think that's all we got for now, right?
That's it.
All right, cool.
Go from here. Thanks for tuning in to the second episode of the Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling podcast.
No, you say Josh, and I say the second Josh, right? Let's start over from the top. All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Josh and
Josh
Talk Wrestling podcast.
Wait, I didn't like that. Dude, we're gonna do it one more time. Here's the thing. So you gotta be like Josh, and then it's gotta be more organic, all right? I came in too late, all right? Try it again.
Thanks for tuning in to the Josh and...
Were you gonna burp?
No.
You sort of stopped at and.
Well, yeah, I wanted to give you a chance to say the other Josh.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna I just decided this. I don't want to. Here's the thing. I'm gonna let you say it. I just realized this seems very 80s if we do it this way, so I'm just... I'll let you do it. Go ahead and do it.
I'll improvise. We'll take our...
Well, I'm going to let you do it this time. It's you, all right?
Thanks for tuning into the Josh and Josh podcast. See, so now it sounds like you had said it.
Well, don't lie to our listeners. They know it was you. All right.
I thought it sounded precise, just like Josh.
All right. Here's the thing. I want you to do it. All right. I want you to do it, and that's it. All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Josh and Josh podcast.
All right. I changed my mind. I want to do it. All right. We'll do one more take here, and I'm going to throw my name in. All right. All right. Go. One more time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Josh and Emilio Estevez podcast.
All right. We'll see you guys. Bye.